Hi there, this video is for my singers looking to set up their sessions in Pro Tools properly for vocal recording. I'm going to show you the 5 elements to focus on when setting up a brand new session or starting to create a vocal template. I'm Kimera. You've heard my voice on tons of TV shows, commercials, streamed on Spotify over 25 million times, and I've got over 600 5-star reviews on soundbetter.com. First of all, I commend you for taking action. You want to get your session, your template set up properly, and I know what you're really doing here is claiming your independence with your music creation. Recording yourself is really your secret weapon, and you no longer have to wait on producers to be available to record you. You won't be burning money anymore hiring an engineer. You're doing it yourself, and that's amazing. Okay, element 1 is tracks. So the first thing I do when I open a blank session is set up my tracks. This is my template. As you can see, I already have everything set up. So the tracks we're gonna need, starting with probably your instrumental. For me, I do a lot of demo singing where I have an instrumental and a vocal guide. So I have in my own template beat and the guide, which then I'll mute because I'm going to be replacing what they sent me. Then I always have a click track. I usually start my session with it muted because my session defaults to 120, and if 120 isn't the BPM of the instrumental, it's really annoying if it's playing against it. So I always automatically have that muted. Then I have my record track. This is where I'm going to engage it and do all my recording right onto this track. I'm gonna skip these for now, but then I have my vocal tracks. I usually set up like 4 lead tracks and then a ton of background tracks. The next type of tracks, I just have these labeled as my lead aux and my BGV aux. And what these are my vocal chains. So this is where I'm gonna be bussing all my vocal tracks to. It has my de-esser, my EQ, my compressors, things like that. Think more tone shaping plugins, but not special effects. The next type of track that I have is also an auxiliary track, but it is for my effects. So I don't put the special effects on that auxiliary track, but I do use sends to send some of this signal to my reverb. I have a short delay, a medium delay, a long delay, and some other crazy stuff and chorus. And then finally, the last track you're gonna need is a master fader. Session element number 2 is the routing. So I just kind of spoke about it a little bit. I'll just show you for the lead vocal only. I have this going out bus 1 and 2. And bus 1 and 2 is being received on my lead auxiliary channel, which is then going out output 1 and 2. From here, I'm using sends to send only part of the signal to the effects. When you put a bus on a send, it creates a fader and you're telling it how much to send to wherever you're sending it to. This is likely bus 129, 130. It can be whatever you want. I happen to have labeled it reverb, but what it is just a bus, and I'm sending some of this signal over here where that same bus is being received by the reverb channel. And that's where I put my reverb on. And then all your effects are going out 1 and 2. Master fader is always going out 1 and 2. Element number 3 is gonna be your plugins. Just gonna go ahead and show you my vocal chain. First I have a de-esser, then I have my EQ, then I have a gate. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. If I just have a little low level noise that's coming through, the gate will help me get rid of that. Then I have my compressor, then I put a limiter, then I use Waves Vocal Writer at the end. Sometimes I will add Soothe 2 here if I have some annoying resonant frequencies that aren't being solved by my EQ. I'll maybe use Soothe 2 as a little extra help on that. My vocal chain goes on each aux that I'm sending my vocal tracks out to. So even my background vocals each have all those plugins on them. If I'm going to use auto-tune, I will put that directly on the individual tracks. So if I have a big session and I put auto-tune on all the tracks, I actually am just gonna copy the tuning across all of them. That's probably gonna give me some delay issues, so check out my video on CPU optimization and how I get around that. And then I put the reverb here. I personally like to EQ some of the lows off of that reverb. And then I have an 1/8 note delay, a 1/4 note delay, a 1/2 note delay. This is actually another 1/2 note delay that I've added micro shift to. It gives it a little more texture. I have like my pan man going with some chorus effect and a stereo widener for just the backgrounds. And then on my master fader, I've got a compressor. I've got a multi-band compressor limiter going on, stereo imager, just a teeny bit of EQ, like barely at all, probably just boosting a little baby bit of highs, lows, and this is my annoying frequency of my voice if you're interested to know. And then I throw one more limiter on at the end. Element number 4 is your panning and levels. I like to have these preset and ready to go in my vocal template. As you can see, my lead vocals are all panned center and I have them at full volume. I've preset my template to have my background vocals all turned down a little bit. I have them in pairs of 2, panned left and right, a little bit different, prepared so that we get a good stereo spread. And element number 5, I'll call this your personal navigation preferences. So for me, it's colors and groups. Notice how I've made my tracks a different color. This just helps me navigate faster because my eye can go to it. I know that my lead vocals are pink, so I will find that track really fast. You would just go to Window and Color Palette, set it to your tracks, and then when you select a track, you can change the color of it. And finally, groups. I have all these groups going on here. I have a group for my auxiliary channels, so when I have that selected, I can control just the auxiliaries all at once. I have just the background auxiliaries. This also helps me to change the level of the reverbs really fast. And as you can see, it changed the other reverb because they're part of this group. I have just my lead vocals as a group here. I have just my BGVs as a group here. And then I have all Vox. So if I have that engaged, it's going to move all of them at the same time. I have an effects group that's just going to affect these. I'm just showing you with volume. There are other parameters that you can add with the group, such as soloing, muting. And then here you can see I've got all of my BGV pairs paired. So I don't have to pull up one fader at a time. This will just make me super duper fast so I can do 2 at once. So super quickly, those are my 5 key elements to building a session out. Now that you know how to do that, I would love to invite you to my free Learn to Record challenge where I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to record in Pro Tools. It's a 1-hour workshop where we use the free version of Pro Tools and only what we already own. So if you don't have a microphone yet, follow along because it's really fun. I actually sing right into my Mac's internal microphone. And then after we've recorded, I'll show you some fun effects that you can put on to actually make it sound professional, even though we use such a crappy setup. That's the challenge part. You're not allowed to buy anything. When you click the link below, it takes you to this page where you can put in your email and secure your spot. And by the end of the workshop, you'll know exactly how to import your instrumental, how to set up your recording tracks, how to actually record, how to use each of our editing tools, how to get your song to an MP3 format, and so much more. So go ahead and click the link below, and I will see you soon.